so many restarts. I've hidden videos of this stream, multiples this evening. I have never struggled so much to just jump on here and talk. I usually am very open about my moments of vulnerability. That stuff hardly bothers me. But for some reason tonight, every single time I start the stream, I start to get overwhelmingly sad and just have to stop. I go to an ad and I just dip out, and I just can't figure out why necessarily, other than maybe something in the cards is not going to be pleasant or positive. But it's the truth, it's real, it's what needs to be said. So it's full of circles because life is full of circles, and it's like the common vibration that we often think of as strings is actually rings, circles that vibrate by going up. And the circle is a very natural shape. It's kind of a message from the angels, but the angels seem very weepy, where every time I go to stream or record, I start thinking about sad things. So, 11111, the angels are sad, and I'm not really sure why, other than there's this very, like, there's a detachment from love in this whole era of the world when it's most imperative to keep it turned on and up and human. And in my personal life lately, I've been trying to just, I've been in a bit of stress. And being someone who has PMDD, one of the only fighting chances I have is stress management. So if I get to a point where I'm not managing my stress, then the PMDD gets really bad. So I've decided to relax. It's almost a permanent state. It's not that I've made time or have time or resources to do this. I'm grateful to have a team of people who help make these things possible. Once again, vulnerable moments. This is nothing like it was 20 minutes ago. You don't know how many times. I think this is my 4th or 5th stream tonight, and the other ones I just didn't even show. So I think it's going better already because I'm being more direct and getting ahead of it and still being myself in spite of it. I think that was the hardest part as I was looking away, didn't really want to look at the camera, wasn't speaking very boldly or bravely, and that was the whole thing. In the first stream I did was talking about the color orange and how it is very bold and brave and beautiful. There's a lot more to it. Maybe I'll post it someday. But it's almost embarrassing how vulnerable I got because it was sadness that I was feeling. But then I'd stop the video and check in and feel fine. And be like, okay, I'm going to do the stream. Took a break. Let's get back at it. And as soon as I'd start, sadness. So there might be a rather sad message in some of these cards. But because they're the angel cards and they are the initiation cards, it's kind of I guess you would say it's bittersweet, where if you're being initiated, it means that new things are coming, but because new things are coming, there's things you have to let go of. And it's not as simple as letting go of the past because the past truly never leaves you. Anything that you've already experienced is now in your experience, and it's possible to forget or block things out, but in reality, everything that happens does shape us. That's not a justification for what people do, but it's definitely a part of us, and it's not as easy as to say let go of the past because now it has become a part of what the present is, as everything has its influence. Thank you, Logi, Logi, Luigi, Luigi. I don't know. It's just one of those things that we need to do. Sometimes is face the sadness, face the music, especially when music in itself is an entity, as we discussed last night. But right now, it's this bittersweet feeling of having to say goodbye. And I think that people debate that themselves their whole lives, whether people leaving unexpectedly or having the guts to say their piece before jetting off. Very hot topic. I personally always felt like getting the chance to say goodbye is an immeasurable blessing that some people can't handle. It's like people who don't hold their pets when they're being put down. That blows my mind. I'm not trying to guilt anybody if it already happened, but don't do it again. what the fuck? They have such a short lifespan and their entire world is you, and then you're like, fuck it. It's too sad for me to be there for them. What the? They had like 5 minutes on this earth. Like, the least you could do is be there for them, right? But it's kind of the same with people where, when you don't have a proper send off, even if you just get in a fight, a fallout, or something, whatever, someone's health, uh, and there's just no communication, and the thought that maybe doesn't cross people's mind, or maybe people can't fixate on death and life, is that there will be time, or that they won't care, or that nothing could change the way they feel in the moment to be in the position where it's easy to ignore someone. But for others, perhaps some more romantic type people who are more attuned with their emotions, see that as a wasted opportunity to risk the chance that you may never get another, right? Would you rather someone unexpectedly leave, or would you rather they say goodbye? To ask yourself that for some reason. It doesn't feel like death is around the corner. It doesn't feel akin to breakups. It seems like there's a spiritual move into I don't want to say a new world, but things need to change in this world. It's been obvious. It's a hot topic of conversation. This is the second time I made reference to a hot topic. Maybe somebody works at one. Hi. Gnarly. Do you work at Hot Topic? Is it you that works at Hot Topic? I don't know. Leonard Cohen comes to mind. Did he die yet? I'm sorry, this sounds so harsh. I love him, but I'm pretty sure he died like in the last couple of years, right? Hey, that's no way to say goodbye. There is a whole stepping process into forward future rather than one that stagnates in the toxic waste of the present. Currently, we live in a very fast-paced, immediate, repetitious, linear world in which most of our days are spent the same across people, across generations, across the globe, even. Very repetitious. But there is a movement. Thank you. Sabu, thank you. I think so too, and it's very rare that anyone notices because they're like, wow, you're so beautiful. I'm like, no shit. Did you hear anything I said? And usually the answer is no. Appreciate it. It's different when you come to a tarot channel looking for tarot or insight. It's very rare you'll see actual tarot on this channel, it seems. That's why I do late night, right? And definitely things come to me as I like just observe. What I'm looking at, by the way, is law of free will, evolution, law of cause and effect, universal spirituality, and universal truth. And this is where my mind is wandering to, is to say that we're trying to move into a new way of not just living, but being, more conscious in our movements, more decisive in our choices, more thorough in our, not comparisons, but in our collections. What's the observations in our conclusions? More clarity in our emotions, right? There's a certain apocalyptic energy that we associate with the violence and destruction, chaos, and global changes that we are undergoing, even from a pandemic or whatever they've got going on. Pandemic or whatever, it could go either way. Either side could be right or wrong or both. But there seems to be, a bit of an apocalyptic feeling. Which brings me to 2 points, is that one, there's never not been a time in history where people did not believe the world was ending. There was never a time in history that people did not believe the world is ending. There has always been the fear of the end. There's always been people to instill that fear. There's always been predictions from Christians to Nostradamus to even someone like Galileo, who could suggest that a meteor could crash into the earth at any point. There's never not been a time for humans to not experience the fear of the end. So to think that it's any closer now than it ever was seems statistically the same, regardless of if people are accelerating the process of changing the way the planet is. That is not to doubt the survival of a species that's adapted faster than we've realized, considering the way we integrated technology that was not only developed very quickly, but put into our hands and accessed so freely, so fast. Right? So, who's to say we're not adapting to the environments that we're creating? Have we been pumped full of this fake sugar and deadly chemicals and breathing these trailed airs and eating this garbage food? Who's to say that's not preparing our DNA to live in an environment full of those same carcinogens, right? So while some things seem like poison, there is always a balance, and it works almost the same as vaccinations. Where is this coming from, honestly? It is interesting, but again, it's a little dark, and I knew this was coming because I kept getting so sad where it's like worse news than it being the end of the world. It's not. I mean, I couldn't think of something scarier than the world continuing on the way that it's been, but humans will be here for at least another 2,000 years is essentially what the predictions have said. Like, this is the golden era, golden age, or whatever the fuck. That's what 2012 was about. 10 years into 1,000, maybe it's 1,000-year period, in which you can choose violence or peace. And most people are choosing violence because they think that this is some kind of ending, when it's truly an awakening, and that's what apocalypse has always meant. So any predictions of apocalyptic events are ones that are meant to be eye-opening and more or less revealing to some level of the psyche, the heart, whatever that may be for someone to have a near-death experience or an ego-death experience to bring them closer, not just to God, but to the reality of their existence and learning how to cooperate with the world around them. That is beautiful. But that's why it's so important to like shower yourselves and others in love. And that's why it is such a challenge to love certain people. And it is meant to be kind of a difficult process, not because not everyone deserves it, not because it's meant for the strong. It's supposed to be difficult, so that you may pass all your tests before you commit to the one person or love situation that you really want. It's a lot of development. You might call it character development, but you are so much more than a character. You are many characters put on a show at equal parts of our day. We put on the person we are in the morning. When it's just us, we get to be our purest, most raw selves. But then we might go to work and have to be our professional, queued up, booed up, whatever the fuck selves. But then we might take a phone call and we become our authentic, genuine, casual, free selves when we're talking to our best friend, a lover, or someone else. But then you also have your public when you go to pick up your groceries or buy your books. It's who the people that you're interacting with see. Just very briefly, um, interactions can mean everything to someone who only gets those interactions, right? So be mindful. Be mindful of how many characters you play in a day, and make sure that the scripts they're following are scripts that your main character would be comfortable playing. And see if you might be able to integrate some of your truer colors and your truer selves into those moments in which we put on a happy face or a sensitive one just to get through our daily tasks and chores. None should have to be so fake. I'm like if Amelie talked more, probably. I think that's where my mind is, usually, is the grand romance of the 21st century. That's me. So sometimes the babbling is a little beyond idealized and just actually romantic. Okay. Yes, yes, yes. And people who are resilient to changing their perspective and having their own revelations are the ones who are willing to let it burn out of fear of change. And that's basically all it is. Like, this is not to say that I'm denying the climate change or global destruction, but once again, adaptability. The planet can adapt to anything, considering that, like other planets have different surfaces. The planet will be fine. The planet's going to exist regardless. You literally have to blow it up from the inside out. And even then, I doubt humans would have anything that powerful. That's cool. You should. You should. Sounds gnarly. Sorry. I'm like kidding, but I like it. Um, I have an empty box of chocolate, and I simply cannot look at it anymore because I know there's no chocolate in there. Yeah, it does kind of seem like the end is the other thing because it is like 2022. It's such a late calendar year. Nobody seems to know where this is going. We haven't seemed to make much progress in way of actions and how we handle things as unified people or divided people, so to speak. Opponents still warring. It seems so archaic in a sense, where we still haven't gotten to the point where we can talk things out or be rational as a whole population. And it might be a few bad people who have ruined it for others, a bad bunch in the apple. But listen, that's the thing. Everyone let it happen. Everyone couldn't be bothered. People couldn't be bothered to change things or to voice their opinion or just question the status quo when it's so much easier to dive in and follow it. Why go into a rabbit hole when you can just ride the peace train all the way home, right? Because the peace train's not taking you home. It's destroying your home. Right? Kidding. Ride on the peace train. We loves Cat Stevens. Yusuf Islam. I don't even care what he wants to be called. I'll call him that, Thanks, y'all. I appreciate that. I've always thought that is one of the biggest compliments. I feel like the older I get, the more it makes sense. But when I was young, people used to say I was wise, and then people would make jokes about trauma and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, no, man, I've just been thinking a lot. It's like one of my favorite things to do is just sit and think. This is a scientist who did not get good grades in science class, basically. Fixate on stupid shit like theoretical, even metaphysical physics, right? Like the way the universe works, in essence. It's not necessarily quantum, but it is on a level that you can't see. Isn't that sad, though, that they just judge people not based on interest, but on performance? And it's like, part of science is not to study from a book and memorize facts and do math. Yes, that is part of it because that's how you get like engineers and chemists, even where you have to follow certain recipes and equations. That's cool. I don't even pay attention to that shit. Like, I've seen a couple of the pictures, but like, I don't like paying attention because I like things come to me naturally or whatever. Like, my obsession with black holes for a long time until I started seeing them. I was like, all right, I'm good. I get it. Yeah. Point proof. Point proven. Um, but it's part of science is also free thinking, and I think that's like so messed up. I guess mathematics is almost the same. Um, there was always holes in it. The thing about every theory is that it's just a theory and there is no such thing as law, and the fact that we call gravity law just proves that gravity is the closest thing to God that we'll ever experience because it literally keeps us on this planet. You don't even want to know what I think about Jesus, but that is the homie for sure, and the bread. I do. What, that fucking drug dealing, ass pimping, gay alien? We had a whole discussion about this yesterday. It comes up a lot on this channel. I did a episode of the fake news show that I used to do. I made like 3 episodes. It's something really funny but so time consuming, and I'm not that talented at tech stuff. But it's true. I mean, everything that they fucking tell about the story of Jesus. Why are these dudes following you around if you're not? What? And then the church is the one being like, no, he wasn't ever with any women. What are you talking about? Get out of here. And they're like, not even Mary Magdalene. They're like, not that whore. And then it's like, wasn't she just a secretary? Didn't she work for the state essentially? And they're like, oh, that's what they meant by that. Yeah, duh. That's what a whore was, a scribe. And it just got sexist over time because men have always disrespected the roles that women play in society. And that's how we became associated with a woman with loose morals. That's why I've always liked it. Yes, just another whore. Let me write that down. Don't you love it? Anyways, why are you trying to convince me he never had sex with women again if you're saying he's not also gay? That's so weird. But he's like hanging out with all these dudes. Not getting any dick. Okay, but the Son of God performs miracles, and you think he's just on a permanent dry spell? No, sir. No, sir. These men left their families for this dude. You don't think he was like swinging big fucking Aries dick? I've made peace with the fact that Jesus is an Aries, and it makes me wonder if the Zodiac predicted such a thing. A leader, self-sacrificing, live fast, die young energy, very Aries. As much as I'd like to believe Jesus would have been a Taurus, he was most likely born in early April, anytime in spring. Hey, what's wrong? I love Jesus. What about what I just said made you think that I don't love Jesus? It's not. I don't like Aries though. No, I'm not gonna lie. I really don't. I try to. I don't know what it is. My Aries placements just make it impossible. Not really sure. Definitely a thing. So sorry. I don't really like any of it. No, it's my Mercury and Venus is in Aries. So the way I love, the way I talk, and it's like, yeah, dude, 2 things I hate the most. Because I love fast and break hard is basically how I would describe my love life. In like a fun, chaotic Aries kind of way, where it's like, let's get the show on the road. Let's do the whole shebang in like a month flat. Fuck it. Let's run through the whole thing real quick. And hey, if we want to do it again, great. If not, you just now follow me. Why do people do that on here? They'll be like talking it up and watching your shit and then like randomly just be like, oh yeah. Like, shouldn't have had the first thing you did. And then there's other people who like you don't even realize they're watching, and they just throw you a follow. I was like, oh, that was really nice. Thanks. Are you still there? No idea. He didn't say anything. I'm pretty new at Twitch, obviously. Still learning a lot, especially now that I'm affiliate. Oh God, responsibilities, but money. It's so confusing. I don't know anything about it. Using really basic stuff like Twitch beta, which sucks. I guess I do like to be candid about these things because I don't want people to think that I'm lacking out of spite. I just haven't had the brain capacity to sit down and learn about what the fuck an emote is. The fuck? Whatever. But yeah, I've had these cards sitting out here since yesterday. That shit got deep. We were talking about the awakening. Yeah, some people would rather destroy what they know than accept that maybe they don't know everything. You know? And it's sad to see, not just on the large scale of like terrorism, but on the small scale of like sabotage, you know, in personal relationships or in your own life. But yeah, lots going on. Maybe we will read these cards. Maybe I'll take 1 minute as I thirst and must retrieve some water. So please do stick around. I'll be gone for approximately 60 seconds. You know what it is. I gotta roll the ads. I just told y'all I don't even know what I'm doing, so it's the least I can do. I love you. I'll be right back. And we're gonna get into these cards. Moving to the country, gonna eat a lot of peaches. Moving to the country, gonna eat a lot of peaches. Peaches come from a can, they were put there by a man. Does anybody know all the words to that song? Millions of peaches, peaches for me. Millions of peaches, peaches for free. Probably one of the best words in the English language in all its meanings, but especially as a fruit and more as a song. I love that. Anyways, what's in the Teaches of Peaches? Cards. Angels. So if I ever am talking about angels, I am talking about biblical angels, the ones that look like creatures and have eyes, only they don't have eyes on the mandalas. But these cards are my angel cards. Oh my goodness. Yeah. I feel that. I really feel that. I don't really know what you mean by 180. So they'd be like this, right? If it's like 180, then it just does this flip instead of going all the way around, because that would be 360. This is 90. This is 180. Basically turning away. Yeah, I feel that. I don't even have a circle full of circles, though. Yeah, you bring up a good point. That's why I named it that, is because of these circle angel cards, angel mandalas, but also because things seem to be coming full circle, some of which not in great ways, and also prevalent as cycles. So to see this pattern in the people in your life would make a lot of sense because that's where some of these energies are pulling from. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. Um, Law of free will is the first one, too. Law of free will. People are going to do what they do because they feel how they feel. Some people don't fucking feel anything at all. And while that sounds really bizarre to those who do, it just, you have to accept it as truth. Even if it's a lie, you have to tell yourself to be less hurt by people's actions, right? So somebody who really has no concept of feelings, right? Or can't relate or empathize would be a really, really good word. You have to understand that if they have a hard time even imagining what their pain could feel like, how would they ever be able to relate to it? And so if they inflict pain upon you, they have no idea that those things are painful. And that's not to excuse anyone's behavior, but it is for you to be able to see through a lens of your own empathy and even forgiveness for the way that people are, because it's how we're bred, it's how we're taught and raised or created in a vision of manifestation. Because while there is a law of free will, there's always people in control of you, right? Whether it's a parent or a boss or any kind of situation in which there is an oppressor, even a government, a god, the law of free will has terms and conditions, and the extension is that you cannot force anyone to do anything and you can't force anyone to be understanding. But you also have the choice to continue to be who you are and who you are meant to be in spite of what others do. Boom. Fuck yeah, dude. Why let anybody stop you from being who you're meant to be or doing what you want to do? That's so crazy. That's so crazy. What is the big fucking deal? What is the big fucking deal about being genuine and being yourself? It's becoming more and more bizarre to me the later it gets in the season or the years where everything is so accepted. And people who hate on it really are fearsome of change because they've never had to awaken to themselves, let alone to the extended reality around them, right? And if it is all a simulation, shouldn't it just be going better in that case? Or is it, in fact, that so many of us are creators, create this picture that it's just a bit mixed up in the end? It's just a bit like, yeah, what do we do with that? Everybody's had different intentions. Everybody put in a different request or manifestation, a different brush stroke, a different color. The picture's complicated. It's not necessarily a beautiful, cohesive work of art. It's a ragtag, slapped ass, random, mostly chaotic accumulation of everyone's worst selves. Because that's usually what's on our minds: anxiety, depression, hard thoughts, rude, mean, intrusive, whatever. And why is that? Where does that come from? When we as humans resonate with the earth that grows everything we need. And that is the frequency of love. And that's what we've talked about in the past couple days. We went from doing love readings to talking about how love is truly a frequency. And it's not a new idea, but I think, I don't want to say me personally, but in a sense, the way I approach it is very much with an outside perspective where I never, like I said, I don't seek out what I know or believe or learn. I let it come to me either through a message or through a physical passage where it'll be something that catches my eye and is the right price. I always know when to pick up my amulets. I always know, what to do and where to put things, because that's where I gain my knowledge from. Is not necessarily looking it up every single time, or seeking out a subject or an entity or a title, but just letting it all flow naturally. Have I gotten the best results from that? Yes and no, because personally, on a very real level, on the inside, I feel pretty happy with who I am, and I really do feel a lot of love from my life. I just am constantly in awe of these little but massive and beautiful details about the world around us. And the way I can stare at a tree for so many hours is incredible to me. But we deal with so much hatred around us that it does get in, regardless of how you truly feel. For me, it gets in via PMDD. It's tough, where it's like, yes, the world around me could be influential, and yet this would be an unstoppable force regardless if I was indestructible, right? But I'm not. And so I think many of us are prone to self-destruct, especially when you have self-destructive habits. People smoke cigarettes. That's one that I'm always fighting. I'm on a good run. But me and my partner were both like, damn, I've been craving fucking cigarettes. And it's been like 2 months. Why crave them now? What has changed? I thought I was doing so good, you know? Or drinking. People who just drink and drink and drink and drink. Yeah. Oh, yeah. I really hope so too. It was really a pleasure, and I hope that you are in your best self and in your best life. And have a great night. Good luck with everything. Fly high. It's so funny, it's been so slow, but I think that's why. I think a lot of people are retreating within lately. There was a big movement to focus on the inner child that we've all left behind and sort of let starve inside. And now it's not that the tables have turned, but we've turned within so that we may heal these children that we once were. But it's bringing out some qualities that maybe we haven't had since we were children. Non-verbal, or just lacking communication in general, or shutting down, or maybe crying more, or whatever your coping mechanism or even escape mechanism was as a child is probably coming out now. And it's not necessarily to be mindful of it in ourselves, because we should allow our inner child to take control when it needs to, and to see how we operate as full adults. Because this is, in essence, time travel, is it not? To remember what once was and what we once were. So to be able to take in that world and put out a new person is part of this awakening process, is to honor each generation of yourself. And that is evolution, personal evolution. And every personal evolution is a contribution to the evolution of mankind, humankind. What is with men naming everything after themselves? Law of cause and effect. Law of cause and effect is, it's just like Isaac said. I think we talked about this yesterday as well. Law of cause and effect is like, for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. If you want to cause some shits, you will deal with the effects of it, right? This is true fuck around, find out energy. But sometimes we fuck around and do some of the most profound or best things that we can do. And what we find out is that was absolutely worthy of ourselves and our time. Or sometimes we fuck around and we fuck shit up and we ruin things, what we have, and we find out that that is what builds character, right? Going back to square one. Building character a whole bunch until your characters make a better cast. then you have a more functional crew. Maybe I am worried about you. But that's for me to know and you find out. Peter Gabriel comes to mind all the time for me. Won't you please talk to me? If you just talk to me, we can unlock this misery. If you'd only talk to me. I love that song. That may be a specific message for someone watching this, whether personal or otherwise. But I think there's also the overall message of needing to communicate. And there was something else I was going to say, and then I lost it. Came back to it. I did not come to steal. There's something else. I don't know. Just the need to communicate in general. Oh, that's what I was going to say. You specifically do need to talk to me and get a personal reading. If anybody's interested in that kind of thing. It seems weird because it sounds like self-promotion, but at the same time, there ain't even really anybody watching. I don't know if anyone's going to get this far into a replay. If you are seeing this, I think that would be very imperative. That maybe you do need a personal reading. Maybe it's enough flipping through the channels. Let me be your dude, you know what I'm saying? Because I got plenty of decks to choose from. Just, get one. Who cares? Especially if you've done it before. Yeah, come on. Wow, cause and effect. I love it. We have universal spirituality, because that's the thing. Sometimes it's not really about knowing what's going to happen or knowing your future, but reconnecting with the self, reconnecting with the spiritual growth, reconnecting with what you were intending your purpose to be on this earth while you were here. You know? Universal spirituality is the mere suggestion that there is some kind of universal binding amongst any type of religious or otherwise belief system throughout every population of humans. Do you think so? Universal spirituality is the essence of spirituality in itself being a universal experience, though all personal. And then we have universal truth. Speak your truth. We're talking about communication. We're talking about communication skills. We're talking about reverting back to our communication as children. It's time to speak your truth. It's time to get what's on your mind off of your mind. It's time to open up your heart and let it flow from your mouth. And it's time to stop holding things back, stop hiding things, start putting things into motion, and being exactly who and what you need to be in all moments, walking in the glory of your own projections. Maybe that's because I saw Project Gnarly. Everything is inherently okay all the time because somewhere out there at any given moment, things are okay. And so anything has the potential to be as okay as anything that it already is. And that's where the phrase everything will be okay, because at some point, even if it slides through, even if it's one at a time, it takes forever. If it ever had the potential to be, then someday it will. And we have to hope we get to experience that. And live to see the day. I have 2 face down cards. I'm going to reveal these and probably go, because it is a quiet night and I'm very much enjoying the conversation. But at this point, everyone is tired and has retired, and I am more or less talking to myself. So I'm gonna let an ad roll. We'll waste a little more time. Try to make it another 15 or so. But I will be plotting to go after I reveal these couple cards. Hello. So, I've got these two face down cards. Gonna reveal them. Talk in circles, man. Maybe I'm talking in circles. Who knows? I've got laughter. Sometimes you just gotta laugh stuff off. And I think that's really good advice, especially because I was in this very somber mood earlier. I kept restarting my stream. I never do that. I admit that when I'm making pre-recorded videos, I've done it a few times where I've had to start over for the night. But the streams, I just go with it. There's been like twice ever I've done that, and I did it 4 or 5 times tonight. So sometimes you just gotta laugh things off. Sometimes you have to laugh at yourself, even if you are hurt, even if you are in pain. It's funny that we could let someone make us feel that way, isn't it? Like, isn't it just funny at the end of the day? Or is that just feeding into the narcissistic narrative of fuck your feelings? It's hard to say. But either way, try to laugh it off. Whatever your experience of laughter must be, whether it's comic relief or seeing the comedy and tragedy, just try to make sure that you are using nature's best medicine, and that is this sound of your echoing happiness. Okay? And last, universal healing. I just said laughter was medicine, and comedy is going to be what saves the world. With too much tragedy, it's like no one has anything to hold on to and don't even want to anymore. And we watch way too much of that violent apocalyptic porn. I swear to God, it's just like, why are y'all manifesting the most devastating, violent ends for yourself? That's just sick and twisted. And while you may say it's entertainment, we know the value of manifestation. If you're not going to use your imagination and visualize a future you want, then you're going to consume it, whether you realize it or not. Bottom of the deck, Capricorn. Something coming up in Capricorn season. Maybe you're a Capricorn. Maybe we're dealing with a Capricorn. I know that it's always come up in my readings it's been years. It's always the devil. And even when we don't have the devil, we still get Capricorn. So that tells me that, yeah. Taurus, when I did the zodiac readings the other night, got this card, Miracle. So if there was just one thing that I need to say, I need a miracle every day. Maybe it's a Christmas miracle. We did talk a whole lot about Jesus. So it's time for us to get on the path of healing. That's really what the awakening is about, is that sometimes it really sucks to have to come clean and wake up and realize the pain and suffering that you were actually experiencing that became so normal. You learned how to deal with it, and once you stop dealing with it, you have to face the fact that you ever felt like that. And it is very difficult to do. It's very difficult to do. But it's okay. There's always going to be people on the other side for you, because that's universal love. Some people are never going to give up. Some people will never walk away. Some people may judge and keep distance, but that doesn't mean that they don't love you all the same. And you should never be so scared as to think that no one will accept you again. Because they will. They will when the time is right. But for now, law of attraction, you've got to be what you want in your world. You've got to be what you want in your world. I love that. So, it's a slow night. I get it. It's a weekday or Sunday. I don't even know when. I don't know when. But yeah, I don't know what happened over here. Maybe it's because I do need a break and I do need rest and shorter hours as of late. This past week has been a lot to process. And I am trying to remain hopeful for good things to come, as I always have and maybe always will, because shall those things never arrive, at least the feeling of hope helps me survive. Universal Spirituality 101. Welcome to class, kids. I'm your host, La. I have this stack of these council cards that, you know what? I might just wake up and do them in the morning. Where does that sound? Where does that sound? I usually wait very late in the day, but maybe I need to start with early morning messages. I don't know. So I think I'm just going to call it for the evening. I'm going to leave them out again, which usually I like putting all my cards away at the end of the night. But there's something so authentic about leaving the energy out in the open, because it is protected. And it's absorbent, but also reflective. And it's a resonance that will co-create a pattern with its environment to improve the general status of things. So we'll get to this. I'm going to come back in the morning. Okay? So I love you all so much. Thank you for tuning in anytime you do. I hope to see you again soon. I'll be back in the morning. Maybe I'll leave my makeup on so I wake up a little bit. Don't have to do it, you know? I'm like laughing, but also I don't know if I'm joking necessarily. I love you. I love everything. I'm so happy to be here. I'm so happy you're here. And I just want to say thank you once again. And of course, good night, good luck, and keep tuning in. Thank you for my new followers and for the subscriptions. I am so grateful to be able to do this and to know that it is appreciated by as many that it is, even if it's not many in the big picture of it. So thank you, and good night.